Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew here, and today I am in my shop and we're going to be building a workbench, and we're going to put it against this wall right here. So let me show you what we're working with. So on this back wall here I got pegboard, and we're going to put a bench that's going to sit against this concrete wall, and we've got a window over here that's right out of view of the camera, and we've got a door right behind me that's also right out of view of the camera. So we're going to set the bench in between the window and in between that door. So if I measure from the corner of the window over to the corner of the door, we're just at 7 foot. So the bench will sit in between the window and the door at 7 foot long. So that's what we're going to make it. We're going to make this bench 7 foot long. Now the width of the bench from the wall here out to where the end of it is going to be, I had a couple different ideas, but I ended up settling on 32 inches. So 32 inches puts the edge of the bench right where I'm standing at the side of me here. Now if I'm standing here and the bench is against me like this, I can still reach back and reach this pegboard and get whatever I have hanging on the pegboard. The only thing I can't reach is way up high. But that being said, if I stand against the wall, I can barely reach up there to reach it anyways. So we'll just have to watch where we put stuff at so it's not too high. But we'll have a 7 foot long space, of putting stuff up, say, maybe 6.5, 7 feet up, which should be good. Now the height of this bench all depends on the person, of what you want. And originally I started working with some measurements and stuff, and I was going to do like a 36, or I was originally going to do like 40. But I walked over to my table saw, and I worked on my table saw a lot last summer as a bench, because I didn't really have a bench. And the table saw is 36 inches tall. And 36 inches tall for me seems to be the perfect height. So that's what we're going to make it. So this bench is going to be 7 foot long, 32 inches wide, and 36 inches tall. We're going to make it out of 2x4s and a couple cut down 4x4s. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and take our cut down 4x4s and cut 6 legs that are 36 inches long. So sitting in front of me are my legs, or the boards I'm going to use as my legs. And what these are actually 3 inches by like 2 1/8. 3 inches by like 2 1/8, and these are 7 foot long. And they're not the best shape, but they're free. When we moved in, there was like 6 or 8 of these that the previous owners left behind. That is what I'm going to use to make my legs. Like I said, these are 7 foot long. I'll go out and grab one more of these. We're going to mark these. We're going to cut a couple inches off the end because the ends are a little boogered up. So we'll cut 2 or 3 inches off each end, measure out our 36 inches, and cut 6 legs. The reason I'm doing 6 legs, I'm going to do 2 on the end and then 2 in the middle, just to give me support and to make the bench a little bit heavier, just in case I need to throw some heavy stuff up on there. So let me break out my chop saw. Let me go grab another board, and we'll get working on these. So I ran out back and I grabbed another 7 foot long 2 by, we'll just say, or 3 by 2, 3 by 2 1/8, but whatever. And I got my legs cut to 36 inches long, and I got all 6 of them cut the exact same length. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use just regular 2x4s to frame the front, the back, the 2 sides, and then we're going to put a couple supports in between the whole 7 foot length, probably at least 3 maybe 4. We'll see once we get it built and we actually get a tape measure on there and see how far I want to put my spacings before we put our top on. So let me go grab a couple 2x4s. They're between 7 and 8 feet long. They were also left by the previous homeowner. So in the legs and the framing, I got $0. So let me go grab a couple 2x4s. We'll come out and then we'll figure out what our measurements are for our 2 sides. Our measurements are for our 2 fronts. We'll cut those 4 and we'll be ready to rock and roll. I just came back from getting 3 2x4s. Now there was like 8 or 9 2x4s, but I can understand why the homeowner left these 2x4s because they were far from straight. These things were pretty bowed. I'm not sure if I would even use these for firewood. They're pretty bad. But I dug through them and I found 3 that were relatively straight. The first one looks like it's a kiln drying one and it's almost dead perfect. It's 8 feet long. The other 2 just look like your standard 2x4s and these were really bad, but I found 2 of these that were about 90% straight. They look like they're a little bowed at the end, like the last 2 or 3 feet. So we'll make them work. We'll find the straightest one to use on the back. We'll use the kiln drying one on the front. And then the third one, we'll just use them for the sides and what we can of the bracing in between. I'll just go grab one more of the best of what's left, which isn't much. And I'll use it for the rest of the bracing in between once we get the 2 sides on there. Like I said before, we're making this thing 7 foot long, 32 deep. So I'm going to cut my first board, the kiln drying one. I'm going to cut it to 7 foot, and I'm going to cut the second best looking one also to 7 foot. We'll cut the 2 sides. We'll have to do the 32 inches plus the 1.5 and 1.5, which is 3. So we'll end up cutting it to, if my math is correct, about 35 inches. We'll see if that was right or not. So we'll cut 2 pieces at 7 foot, 2 pieces at 35 inches, and that should give us our final size of 7 foot by 32 inches deep. Good news, my math was correct. We got 2 pieces cut at 7 foot for the front and the back, and 2 pieces cut at 35 inches for the sides, which will give us our final dimensions of 7 long by 32 deep. So first of all, let me say that math was not my best subject in school. I got to frame this thing together and I cut my sides to 35 inches like I said I was going to. Turns out I don't need to add 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches or 3 inches for the thickness of the board. I need to subtract it. So instead of a 32 inch board, I actually need a 29 inch board. So that math, that'll get me every time. So we need to cut these to 29 inches instead of 35 to get our final measurement, or else we're going to end up with a 35 inch deep bench instead of a 32. So we'll go ahead and cut them to 29 and we should be good to go. I got the frame done, I got it all screwed together, and I just got the legs hooked to the frame and they're just held in by these clamps right here. I got the 2 clamps on that side and the 2 clamps on this side. I still got to screw them together. The middle ones haven't been screwed or clamped yet at all. So I got the legs basically where I want them at, and all we got to do now is come through. We're going to put 3 screws in here and we're going to pre-drill it like we did the frame, and then sink our 2.5 inch wood screws in on the 4 corners. Once the 4 corners are done, we'll come back to these 2 center ones here and we'll find center, set those 2 in center, clamp them in, pre-drill, and put 3 screws in each one of them. I have all the legs screwed in. I got the 2 outside ones. I did the 2 other outside ones, then came back through, measured, and did the middle ones. The middle ones have 4 screws screwed in from the outside. The outside 4 legs have 4 screws on the face, and then 2 more screws on the side. So a total of 6 screws on every corner and 4 screws in the center. I got my legs screwed onto my frame. Everything's level, everything's square. It's ready for a top. We're not going to put the top on in this video because I got an awesome idea for what we're going to use as a top. You'll just have to wait for the next video. If you like videos like this, give me a thumbs up. Go into the comment section and tell me what you think. Like this video, share this video, and thanks for watching.